Hello everyone, today we are going to make some simple seafood enchiladas. We're going to start by looking at our ingredients. I have a tablespoon of butter melting over here in the skillet. I have some cream cheese, 1 package of cream cheese, 8 ounces, a jar of green salsa, about 12 to 16 corn tortillas, about 2 cups of shredded Monterey Jack cheese, and we need about 1/2 of an onion diced. A lot of people don't know that onions freeze really well, so I always keep a bag. If I only need 1/2 an onion, I dice up the whole thing and I throw the other half in my bag in the freezer. These will work just fine. Onion does not need to be fresh all the time for a recipe like this. And over here we have our seafood. I have about 1/2 pound of red snapper. That was 2 to 3 fillets depending on size, sliced and then cut into chunks. And then shrimp that needs to be deveined and peeled, no tails or anything, or taking care of all that. For the size of shrimp that I had, I cut it into about 3 pieces, just like this. That's about the size that we want for our recipe, okay? You can see my bowl of tails over there in the sink. We don't want those tails, right? So we are gonna get over here to our skillet with the melted butter, and we are just gonna swirl that around a little bit, and we are going to add our onions. Hopefully I'm not going to need to put you guys down here at some point because I'm doing this with my phone and I'm cooking one-handed. So, like I said, about 1/2 of a fresh onion diced, okay, which is roughly what we have here, somewhere between 1/2 cup and a cup, depending on the size of your onion. Now, we're just going to cook this until it's translucent, and then we will add our seafood. I have just added my seafood to the skillet with the cooked onions, and I put a little pepper and a little salt in there with our shrimp and our fish. Now again, this is red snapper, but you could use any mild white fish. Cod would be fine in this. Tilapia would probably work, although that has kind of a distinct flavor that some people either like or they don't, so that's up to you, but try to find a mild white fish. And the nice thing about this recipe is it doesn't take a lot of fish to make it. It's about 1/2 pound of shrimp and about 1/2 pound of fish in with your onion. So we are going to cook this until our shrimp turns pink, right, and it's cooked all the way through, and our fish is white and opaque, and then we are going to transfer that out of the skillet onto this waiting plate over here. All right, now to my empty skillet, I am going to add 1.5 cups of that green salsa, just jarred green salsa. If you do not have green salsa in a jar, you can you could probably use green enchilada sauce. That would work as well. And then I have my package of cream cheese that I've just cut up into smaller pieces so that hopefully it will melt a little bit faster, because we're going to cook this until all that cream cheese melts into and makes a creamy sauce. Now over here on my plate, I have my fish and my shrimp that I just took out of the pan. Notice that my shrimp is just turning pink, right? My fish is opaque. There is going to be some carryover cooking, right? As it sits here, it's still warm, so better to err on the side of a little under than to overcook your shrimp and your fish at this point. Also, once we roll our enchiladas, we are going to bake this in the oven, so our seafood is going to be plenty cooked. All right, so now I am just going to keep cooking this and stirring until all of that cream cheese melts into the salsa and we have a nice sauce, at which point at the end we will add 1 cup of our shredded Monterey Jack cheese, but you don't want to do that until your sauce is completely combined. right, so now that we've added our cheese to our sauce and our sauce is smooth and creamy, we are going to take about 1.5 to 2 cups of our sauce out, and we're gonna put it aside in a bowl. We're gonna use some of that in the bottom of our dish and then some of it on top of the enchiladas for the finish. And then we are going to add our seafood back into the rest of the sauce, and that is going to be our filling for our enchiladas. So as you can see, I have spread about 1 cup of sauce in the bottom of my baking dish. I have about 1 cup of sauce over here on the side in this bowl to put on top of my enchiladas at the end. The rest of the sauce is still in the skillet. Now I'm going to put all of my seafood back into the skillet. Just gently stir that in, and this is going to be our filling for our enchiladas that we are going to wrap and roll here in just a second. At this point, you also want to pop your tortillas in the microwave for about 30 seconds to a minute just to warm them up so that they'll be more pliable and hopefully won't break as easily, because corn tortillas crack more easily than flour tortillas, and we are using corn tortillas today. All right, so this will be our seafood filling for our enchiladas, and we are going to get ready to roll those up here in just a second. We're going to put a little bit of our seafood mixture here and then roll them up. Here are my finished rolled enchiladas, and with the extra sauce on the top. Don't worry if it doesn't cover the whole thing, because remember, we're also going to put some cheese on here, right? So the rest of our Monterey Jack cheese is going to go on top. Also, don't worry if filling spills out of your enchiladas while you're rolling them and putting them in the dish and everything. Enchilada making is messy business. It's all the extra that falls out is going to end up in the sauce and covered by the cheese, and nobody's going to know the difference. All right, so once you have your cheese on there, you're gonna bake this in a preheated 350-degree oven for about 20 to 25 minutes until it's hot and bubbly and cooked through. And I usually cover it with foil while I bake it, just so that it doesn't dry out, because you don't have a ton of sauce. This isn't a super saucy enchilada recipe. You are gonna like them. I questioned it at first. I love seafood, but it's unusual for an enchilada, but they are delicious, and my kids and my whole family loved them. So give it a try.